I think it's very important to make clear this is a really ambitious project. It is to ensure that we change the power coming into this country. We have clean power by 2030, and that means lower bills. You can see why that's really important to people at the moment. Energy security, so Putin can never do what he's doing now and try to put his boot on our throat ever again. And there are hundreds of thousands of jobs tied up in this. But it's linked, I mean, you talk to me about education and the health service, and I understand that. It's linked to this because we do need more money in our public services. They're not just on their knees, they're on their face. We've got to pick them up, make them fit for the future. But in order to do that, we've got to grow our economy. We've had almost no growth, effective growth, for the last 13 years. We've got to turn that around. It falls to us to do it. So these are not in contrast to what we're doing with the NHS. They're part and parcel of the same argument.
And how do we judge success? Because you've talked about clean power by 2030. How many jobs will this create by the end of next Parliament? How many jobs over a decade?
With the direct number of jobs is 200,000, 280,000 on top of that. That's just in clean power. There's up to 1 million across the board. And there's a very important part of the announcement that I made in my speech today, which is the British jobs bonus. And this is making sure that the jobs are here in the UK. Because wherever I go to a wind farm or any other infrastructure project and ask, where were these made? The answer is always somewhere else. I want that to change. I want those jobs to be here in the UK.
But it's okay, just to be clear, that's not net jobs, is it? Because there will be job losses in oil and gas.
Well, the existing jobs in oil and gas under existing licences obviously will continue for decades to come because those licences will continue through to the 2050s. But this is about the next generation of jobs. But it's also something very, very important, which is making sure that if the supply chains, things that need to be made in these infrastructure projects, that they're made here in the UK. I went to Whiteley's, which is the wind farm just outside Glasgow. There are hundreds of turbines there, and I asked the question, how many of these were made in Scotland or the United Kingdom? And the answer was none of them, because the government we've got now didn't have a strategic plan. I'm not going to allow that to happen again.
So I want to come back onto the British jobs for British workers. Brown overtones there. Sometimes people call you the heir of Blair, but I think that's Gordon Brown, isn't it? British jobs for British workers.
I feel passionately that these jobs should be in the United Kingdom. My dad was in engineering, in manufacturing, and that was allowed to dwindle. Coal mines, we allowed those to be closed down without any plan for the future. And we're still feeling the effects of that. I'm not going to let that happen.
Okay.
We have skilled people, we have innovation, we have fantastic people prepared, for the next generation of jobs. They need a government that ensures that those jobs are here.
Just in terms of targets, so you've got a big job target in sight. Just to be clear, clean power by 2030, so all of our electricity from renewables, is that a guarantee or is it a target?
It's the ambition and it's doable. So
but it's not a guarantee because you might fall short because it is so ambitious.
What I've done is I've sat down with the sector and said, this is what I want to achieve. Is it possible for us to achieve it? So it's not just a target that hasn't been thought through. Centrica, who, as you know, responsible for a lot of the supply of gas, have said it's tough, but it's doable.
Yeah.
What we want, is a partnership where we roll up our sleeves and get on with it. It's going to mean tough decisions. So planning needs to be changed.
Okay.
The grid needs to be changed. It takes too long for these projects.
Okay.
We're going to turn that around.
You can't, right, okay, but just let's get into oil and gas quickly. You say this is all about securing the future, but is this your self-interest too? Because you've personally received tens of thousands of pounds in donations from Del Vince, the green power tycoon who funds Just Stop Oil. To clear this up, are you going to take any more money from him?
Look, this has got nothing to do with donations to the Labour Party. It's to do with the transition.
How it looks, though.
Just hear me out. The oil and gas in the North Sea is dwindling. 90% of the gas is already extracted or is already under existing licences. So we know we've got to make this change. Nobody's arguing, but most of the sector are already putting most of their money and their resources into renewables. So this is a plan that's actually listening to the sector. And no donor to the Labour Party has any influence on policy or any discussion about policy.
Are you going to keep taking money from him?
Well, look, I've taken the donations from him so far. He has absolutely no role in policy. I wouldn't countenance that with any donor. But this is a serious plan about the future jobs for Scotland, the future of the United Kingdom, establishing GB Energy so that where we put public money in from the UK, we get the yield back out for the United Kingdom. These are fundamentals to an economy which will deliver for working people across the whole of the United Kingdom.
I've just got two more things. Would you resolve from the idea that this is a policy, if you forgive the Trumpian overtones, of putting Britain first?
Well, look, I do want those jobs to be here in Britain. I'm not going to apologise for that. I think when I went and looked at those turbines in Glasgow, just outside Glasgow, 350 turbines, and learnt that not a single one had been built in Britain, whilst workers here in Scotland who could have built them are looking at them. I want to change that, and I want to make sure that those supply chains are operating here in the United Kingdom so that we get the yield on the next generation of jobs.
Are you happy if people call you a protectionist would-be Prime Minister?
I don't think this is protectionist. It's about ensuring we've got the jobs here in the United Kingdom. And when I look at the cost of living crisis, when I look at the pain people are suffering under 13 years of economic failure, I want to turn that around. And I want to look British workers in the eye and say, I'll work with you to ensure that the high-skilled, well-paid, secure jobs of the future are with you here in this country.
OK, contrarians would say that you were the free marketeer, single market, open trading Keir Starmer when you wanted to remain in the European Union, and now you are seemingly a protectionist at heart. Will the real Keir Starmer please stand up?
I am determined to turn our economy around and make it work for working people so that it's measured in living standards across the whole of the United Kingdom. I know what it felt like to grow up when we couldn't make ends meet. I know there are millions of families going through the anxious decision my family had to take. I'm not going to allow that to continue. I'm going to sit on my hands and say the market can decide. I'm going to roll up my sleeves and say we'll be an active government, we'll partner with businesses, and together we will deliver these jobs of the future. And across the sector, there's a ripple of excitement about the prospect of a government coming in that will serve the people, have a strategic plan, and deliver those jobs of the future, the prosperity of the future, and ensure that living standards for people rise right across the whole of the United Kingdom.